Sierra Leone rice duty revenue falls short for women farmers. Budget Advocacy Network report says, where have Sierra Leone's coins gone? And Sierra Leone Bar Association appoints caretaker committee to oversee affairs and prepare for elections. You are with the SLBC and this is News Hour, reaching you live on TV. Stay with us. Welcome back to News Hour, reaching you live on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation Television on Channel 31. Those were the headlines and Napoli for newscast with me, Dennis Fraser. Sierra Leone's 5% rise import duty has generated significant revenue, but not only a small share has reached the Agricultural Development Fund, limiting support for women farmers. This was according to a recent report by the Budget Advocacy Network or BAN. In collaboration with a 50-50 group with support from Christian Aid, the Making Tax Work for Women report was to assess the impact of the gender Sierra Leone's 5% rise import duty. Esther Nene Kamara now begins her coverage.
The introduction of the 5% import duty in the 2024 Finance Act was part of the government's domestic revenue mobilization strategy intended to raise funds for agricultural development through the Agricultural Development Fund, ADF. According to a study conducted by Budget Advocacy Network Band in collaboration with the 50-50 group and with support from Christian Aid, the Making Tax Work for Women report was to assess the gendered impact of Sierra Leone's 5% rice import duty. Key amongst the findings of the assessment was that rice import duty generated 365.2 million leones between 2024 and 2025. However, only 31.9 million leones, representing 9%, was transferred to the Agricultural Development Fund. Researchers said this limited transfer has reduced the policy's expected benefits, particularly for women farmers who continued to face challenges such as limited access to land, financing, farming inputs, extension services, and markets.
The next step now is how we can steer up our advocacy in terms of how we collaborate with the Ministry of Agriculture and engage the Ministry of Finance, how they can be able to, the remaining 91%, how they transfer it to the Agricultural Development Fund so that women farmers can benefit from those resources.
The study also found that the increase in rice prices following the introduction of the tax placed a heavier burden on many households, noting that many families reduced food consumption, bought smaller quantities of rice, or switched to cheaper alternatives. The report further highlighted that existing agricultural support programs often favor large producers, while many small-scale women farmers remain excluded from mechanized farming, tax exemptions, and financing opportunities.
Now, the issue of Ministry of Finance not transferring the full amount of revenue that has been collected from the 5% import duty on rice is the fact that the policy commitment with the Honorable Minister will give the Parliament is still the government of Sierra Leone will ring-fence that amount.
It doesn't mean all come to agriculture, but now government gets money from the import tax for some other critical issues that where they affect also, we own smallholder farmers.
To address these challenges, the study recommends that the Ministry of Finance transfer all rice import duty revenues to the Agricultural Development Fund on a quarterly basis. Urges the Ministry of Agriculture to earmark at least 30% of the revenue, especially for women farmers. And the National Revenue Authority published quarterly report on revenue collected from the 5% rice import duty. Stakeholders from the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Finance, and the National Revenue Authority pledged their commitment to ensuring that revenue generated from the 5% rice import duty reaches its intended beneficiaries. For SLBC, Esther Nene Kamara reporting.
Now, the 50-50 group in partnership with Green Scenery, the Women's Network for Environment, Sustainability, and the Network Movement for Justice is implementing the Woman Land and Kulat project, supported by Christian Aid through the United Nations Peacebuilding Fund. Howard Williams has more in this report.
In a bid to further strengthen women's land rights and promote peaceful and inclusive land governance through meaningful engagement with marginalized women, key stakeholders from Connaught, Kailan, Port Loko, and Tonkolili districts have converged for contextual dialogue in Freetown. The need for such dialogue arises from persistent hindrances despite progressive legal and policy reforms for women to access, own, and control land. Chairing the dialogue, Aminata Kelly Lamine spoke of the need for strengthened policy dialogue and collaborative action.
If there is one message that echoes forth from this conference, let it be that human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights. Once and for all. End of quote. Let us think about this as we progress.
Some of the hindrances to land inheritance, land allocations, including some that seem embedded constitutionally, were emphasized by the Minister of Gender and Children's Affairs, Dr. Aissata Mahoy.
Distinguished participants, this dialogue on women's land rights is not occurring in isolation. It takes place as a pivotal movement in our nation's history. Sierra Leone is currently undertaking a comprehensive constitutional review process, and I want to assure you that this process represents a historic opportunity to address the very inequalities that women face regarding land governance and participation. Women
representing the project districts, policymakers, government institutions, development partners, civil society organizations, traditional authorities, and other key stakeholders deliberated on the challenges and identified opportunities to propose practical policy recommendations for advancing women's land rights and strengthening peaceful and inclusive land governance in Sierra Leone. The Parliamentary Gender Caucus and the remainder of government institutions, civil society, and women of Sierra Leone now have a collective responsibility to constitutionally align and enshrine gender-responsive reforms that will enable women to utilize land as an instrument of social and economic well-being.
Now to the presidency. Some senior executive members of Access Bank Sierra Leone Limited and Bloombank Africa Sierra Leone Limited have paid a joint courtesy call to President Julius Maada Bio at State House. The bank's executives briefed the president on their operations and reaffirmed their commitment to supporting Sierra Leone's economic growth, financial inclusion, and private sector development. They also pledged to expand digital banking, strengthen support for small businesses, and improve access to finance across the country. Our status correspondent, Margaret Senge, will report.
President Julius Maada Bio has welcomed the leadership of Access Bank and Blue Bank to State House, describing the banking sector as a key partner in Sierra Leone's development. The visiting executives discussed investment in SME financing, digital banking, youth entrepreneurship, financial inclusion. They also explored opportunities to deepen collaboration with governments. President Bio commended both institutions for expanding banking service and urged them to increase lending to small businesses, women, and young entrepreneurs to drive job creation. He also encouraged the banks to use technology to make financial service more accessible, especially in rural communities.
We know what it boasts of the youngest population in world. But that is, for me, a worrying scenario developing. To have young people and not to have jobs for them, with the education we are giving them, and if we are committed to improving the quality, means that they could very well our own doing. So, to be able to provide them with jobs, to be able to educate them consistently as we want to do quality education, all of this requires an economy that is vibrant and an economy that is expanding at a rate that will capture all of that labor.
The president said investments in human capital and his flagship program, Feed Salon, remain central to the country's economic transformation.
The biggest hurdle is always the requisite capital to engage. And agriculture can be quite capital intensive. I can bear witness to that. So we have always been grumbling about how the banking sector in Sierra Leone in particular has been restricted to just traditional or just treasury bill things. And we want to unlock the potential in the private sector, especially for the youth and women. And we boast about the youthfulness of our continent, having mostly 60 to 70% being young people, but we need to give them the wherewithal to be to actively take part in the global economy, not just through the education, but also the startup.
Access Bank Group Managing Director Roosevelt Ogbonna said the bank is committed to partner with the government of Sierra Leone to identify strategic investment opportunities that will accelerate national development and improve the lives of citizens.
The Access Bank is one of the largest banks in the continent. From a balance sheet perspective, we're number 10th largest bank in Africa. The banks larger than us are not sub-Saharan banks. They are Moroccan, Egyptian, and for different reasons. Stable currency, support from the Gulf states that they get has meant that they have grown faster than most African entities have grown. But that's not an excuse anymore. We're today Africa's largest bank by customer base.
The bank emphasized that education, healthcare, and skills development are essential for sustainable growth. It noted that poverty is driven not only by lack of resources, but also by limited opportunities, knowledge, and capacity.
But beyond that, Excellency, our presence across Africa has shown us one thing. The African markets and governments need to work more closely together. You'll find that there are parts of Africa where there's excess capital looking for a home. But that capital doesn't come into the continent. The capital ends up in Standard Chartered in London, JP Morgan in New York, Citibank in New York, because governments are keeping their foreign reserves in global markets. Whilst in the continent, we're looking for that capital to grow. So part of the mandate we have from our group board is that managing all of those enterprises, how can we catalyze that capital to work for the continent?
Access Bank reaffirmed its commitment to support Sierra Leone's development agenda, while expanding its global presence to better serve Africans at home and abroad.
We want someday within this market and across Africa, when the government says we did 6% GDP or 7% GDP, the question is, Access Bank, given the work you did, what's your contribution to that GDP? Is it 1%? Is it 2%? And we should be bold enough to be able to say it. So when we sit with you and have this privilege of meeting with you and you share your agenda, what's the role that we want to play? We think within the infrastructure space, we can catalyze enough capital given our network to be able to support a lot of the agenda.
The bank disclosed that it now operates in 3 of the world's leading financial centers, London, Paris, and Hong Kong, and plans to expand into the United States by 2028. It said its next phase of growth will focus on innovation, financial inclusion, and improved access to capital for African businesses. The bank added that it aims to connect global capital with African economies to support trade, investment, and infrastructural development. Officials also highlighted partnership with governments across Africa to finance infrastructure and promote sustainable economic growth. The executives commended Sierra Leone's progress in economic growth, education, and financial inclusion since 2028. They thanked President Bio for creating an enabling business environment for financial institutions. Blue Bank Chairman and Chief Executive Officer Gabriel Edgar congratulated President Bio on assuming the chairmanship of ECOWAS, saying Sierra Leone continues to gain international recognition. He said Blue Bank is committed not only to banking service, but also to promoting trade and investment across Africa.
One very important thing I think to bring, it's almost as if, we knew your 5-point agenda, because our institution has actually been built around a lot of those things that you're championing. And that's why we think we should pay this courtesy call to you to also let you know how we are supporting and how we intend to continue to support you. So apart from the banking franchise that we have in those 4 countries, we also have a business that facilitates trade across.
Mr. Edgar also highlighted the bank's SME Accelerator programs, which trains entrepreneurs and connects them with financing through partnership across Africa. He said the bank's Biennial Traders Conference links businesses across the continent to create new investment opportunities.
In addition, as the Finance Minister has mentioned, we also help countries to attract capital for infrastructure and development, as well as even liquidity for central banks through various types of swaps and instruments like that. And more importantly, what we do for the SMEs, we have an entity we call AfriCelerate. It's an accelerator company that trains and gives capacity building to SMEs and actually arranges financing for them.
He called for stronger financial instruments to support business growth and stressed that financial education must go hand in hand with access to credits.
We also want an opportunity to run, on a more national scale, our AfriCelerate program, which we've run very successfully, where we gather cohorts of SMEs and we take them through 5 stages of growth and we make them bankable. We also do that in partnership. We have our own training facilitators, and we do it in partnership also with the Export Development Program of Africa.
He concluded by urging the government and the banking sector to build stronger partnerships that allow businesses to thrive and strengthen the private sector, especially as development financing continues to decline. The meeting is expected to strengthen cooperation between governments and the 2 financial institutions while supporting Sierra Leone's economic development. Margaret Senge, SLBC News, State House.
Watching news are coming to you live from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation Television on Channel 31 and across our social media streaming platforms. Now to one of our headline stories. The disappearance of coins from everyday transactions in Sierra Leone is raising deeper economic questions about the value of money over time. Once an important part of the country's currency system, coins today are rarely seen, rarely used, and often rejected. But beyond the problem, what does this say about inflation, purchasing power, and the changing value of the leone? My colleague Emmanuel Williams brings us the report.
There was a time in Sierra Leone when coins could buy basic items such as sweets, bread, or services such as transport. Today, those same coins are almost invisible in daily trade, and many people no longer consider them useful. Sierra Leone's currency has evolved over time from early coins and notes bearing national figures like Mamioko and King Naimbana to more recent banknotes such as Shaka Stephen and Baibure. Each phase reflects a shift not only in design but in value. Sierra Leone has historically recorded high inflation with long-term average above 20% and sharp increases in recent years. This means money gradually loses its purchasing power. Today, coins still exist as part of Sierra Leone's currency system, but in reality, they have almost disappeared from circulation due to their value.
People are not very much used to the use of cents. So as a result of that, when it comes to transactions, transport fare, instead of people make use of the cents, they will instead round the figure up to a whole number, ensuring that if you have to pay 1.25 cents, they will just make it trillions automatically. Why? Because the populace are not quite familiar or getting used to the use of the cents.
In 2022, the government denominated the currency, removing 3 zeros to simplify transaction and restore confidence. But even with this change, the challenge remains. The question is, what can coins actually buy today? This highlights how inflation has reshaped the value of money over time. As coins loses relevance, businesses and consumers are adjusting, often rounding prices and ignoring smaller money altogether. From coins that once carried value to currency that is now barely used. The story of coins in Sierra Leone is not just about money, it is about inflation, economic pressure, and how value changes over time. For LCBC News, Emmanuel Williams reporting.
Now, the Sierra Leone Bar Association has appointed a caretaker committee to oversee the affairs of the association. Now to Parliament, which has postponed the Constitutional Amendment Bill proceedings to Monday, August 10, after a series of disagreements between the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party and opposition All People's Congress Party MPs. The Speaker evoked the necessary provisions and suspended Standing Order 59, which states that a prolonged bill can be withdrawn if not debated, giving room for a continuation of the debate on the said agreed dates. Here's the report.
For this process to be moved to Monday as if we are continuing in this session, so that we don't have to start everything all over again. So he can make that application, he can move that motion to be carried by the House. Then we will just continue on Friday from where we stopped. On Monday. Because on Friday...
Although citizens had expected for members of parliament to continue deliberations on the Constitutional Amendment Bill and probably pass it into law, Parliament was locked in an intense debate over the Constitution of Sierra Leone Amendment Bill 2025, facing legislative hold-up and deep divisions between the ruling Sierra Leone People's Party and opposition All People's Congress members of Parliament. Among the most contentious clauses lawmakers remained divided over was the proposal to lower the presidential election threshold from 55% to a simple majority of 50% plus one vote, with the APC insisting on maintaining the current 55% requirement. The proposed presidential threshold in the amendment bill provides for a simple majority nationally and at least 20% in 2/3 of districts, with a runoff if the threshold is not achieved.
We are not begging for a power sharing situation. And if we said no to it before now, we still start to say no to it. If the situation of regional balance, the president should do everything possible to have a regional balance in cabinet, correct? But if you tie that to proportional, the configuration of parliament, tell us clearly you want to propose IPI and the executive arm of government. If we accept as a people of Sierra Leone, we accept. If we don't, we will not accept.
Presentation be extended to the executive arm of the government to be something that we think of. And as my learned colleague has said, I will agree with him as well, but that it could still fit in section 59.
However, the lawmakers expunged a clause that would have permitted independent presidential candidates. Meanwhile, the Attorney General Minister of Justice Alpha Sise proposed an amendment to Section 59 of the 1991 Constitution, introducing new provisions that will require the President to consider regional balance, gender equality, and minority inclusion when making key appointments.
The President, in appointing ministers and deputy ministers under subsection 1, the President may give consideration as far as practicable to A, the political diversity of Parliament, B, the regional and district balance of the Republic, C, gender equity, and then D, the inclusion of minority groups.
During the deliberations, the Speaker, Honorable Segepo Solomon Thomas, stated that he will not support nor allow any proposal from a member of parliament seeking to curtail presidential powers, citing decisive leadership, especially in times of national development and crisis.
For all to understand,
Ali, be careful.
The office of the president should be a very powerful office in the Republic. Should be a very powerful office. Let's not make this law, because we perceive, we have this perception that somebody else is in power. Make this law, put in yourself in it.
The Speaker's intervention comes as MPs seek to balance the need for effective governance with accountability mechanisms. In the midst of the divisions between members of the ruling and opposition bench, the leader of government business invoked the necessary provisions and suspended Standing Order 59, which states that a prolonged bill can be withdrawn if not debated, giving room for a continuation of the debate on Monday, August 10th this year. SLBC, Dennis Fraser reporting. And now, Senegal's permanent representative to ECOWAS, Ambassador Nicolas Augustin-Nyoki, has officially taken over as chair of the Economic Committee of West Africa States Permanent Representatives Committee, succeeding Sierra Leone's Ambassador Dr. Julius Sandi. The handing over ceremony was held at the Sierra Leone High Commission in Abuja and attended by the permanent representatives, ECOWAS officials, and diplomatic staff. In his inaugural address, Ambassador Nyoki pledged to promote dialogue, consultation, and institutional continuity in carrying out the committee's mandate. He also praised Ambassador Sandi for his exemplary leadership. In his farewell remarks, Ambassador Sandi thanked his colleagues for their support and reaffirmed Sierra Leone's commitment to the ideals of ECOWAS. As chair, Ambassador Nyoki will oversee the committee's monthly sessions and support regional peace, security, and integration efforts across West Africa. Away from there, the Director of Food and Nutrition at the Ministry of Health, Millicent Ali, has said exclusive breastfeeding during the first 6 months of a child's life plays a vital role in building a stronger immune system. She made statements during the World Breastfeeding Week campaign held in the Western area, urban and rural districts. The campaign aims to educate and sensitize mothers on the importance of exclusive breastfeeding in promoting healthy growth and development of children. Abdul Masai reports.
The World Breastfeeding Week campaign, organized by the Directorate of Food and Nutrition under the Ministry of Health in collaboration with its partners, brought together health workers, stakeholders, community members, lactating mothers, and other participants to raise awareness about the benefits of breastfeeding. Speaking at the event, the Director for Food and Nutrition Directorate, Millicent Ali, said this year's Breastfeeding for a Sustainable Start in Life strengthening what works, underscores the critical role of breast milk in strengthening a child's immune system and supporting healthy growth and development during the first 6 months of life.
Giving a child just breast milk throughout the 6 months of life, from the moment that child is born. If the woman is stable just after birth, the baby is being initiated to the breast milk, and so the baby starts suckling out. And that could go on for 6 months without giving any other food to the baby, even water.
She also dispelled common misconceptions about colostrum, describing it as a baby's first vaccine because of its rich nutrients and immune protective properties.
The yellow-rich milk is very important, more than every other milk that the human produces for their babies, because that is where the immune system is built. You see, God is so infinite in His own grace that He even brought the vaccination of babies through that colostrum.
One of the participants, Josephine Sako, saying that exclusive breastfeeding has had a positive impact on her child's health. She explained that, unlike her first child, whom she did not breastfeed exclusively, her second child has grown stronger and healthier because she followed the recommended breastfeeding practices.
So
I did not follow the proper breastfeeding practices with my first child, and he is not as healthy as my second child. My second child is very strong and healthy. Everywhere I go, people want to carry him because he looks healthy. I encourage all mothers to exclusively breastfeed their babies for the first 6 months to ensure their proper growth and development.
The Ministry of Health ongoing 300-day activism campaign seeks to reduce maternal and child mortality across the country. Promoting exclusive breastfeeding remains one of the key interventions aimed at improving child survival and securing a healthier future for Sierra Leone's children. SLBC News, Abdul Mansari reporting.
Stay with the news from the SLBC on Channel 31 on TV and across our social media streaming platforms. Still in the news, Statistics Sierra Leone has officially launched the 2026 Sierra Leone Demographic and Health Survey Training. The nationwide exercise is aimed at providing critical information to support national development planning and improve health care delivery in the country. Niali Mamosiye has the report.
The 2026 Sierra Leone Demographic and Health Survey is a comprehensive nationwide initiative designed to collect high-quality data on health, population, nutrition, and other key health and demographic indicators. The survey serves as a cornerstone for evidence-based policy making, providing statistical foundation necessary to improve the well-being of all Sierra Leoneans. During the launch, officials from Statistics Sierra Leone emphasized that the survey was one of the country's most important statistical exercises, providing reliable and up-to-date information that would guide government policies, strengthen healthcare services, and support evidence-based national planning and decision-making.
Together, we are laying the foundation for stronger health systems, better resource allocation, and ultimately, healthier communities. Let this launch be a reminder that data is not just numbers, it is the story of our people. And it is our responsibility to tell that story with integrity and precision.
Officials noted the significant progress that has been made to accelerate the implementation process, stating about 188 trainees in their midst that are going to be in the workshop for at least 28 days. They also said they have successfully conducted a questionnaire review adaptation workshop to refine the tools and incorporated a blood pressure measurement module for the first time in the history of the Demographic Health Survey in Sierra Leone. The Demographic Health Survey was officially launched by the Ministry Minister of Health, Dr. Austin Dembi, who called on trainees participating in the 2026 DHS to uphold the highest standards of professionalism, accuracy, and integrity during data collection, stressing that reliable information is essential for effective national planning.
With the people of Sierra Leone, I want to say at this point in time, I want to officially launch the training for the 2026 Demographic Health Survey.
Data collection is expected to take place across all districts, with final results providing a comprehensive picture of the country's health and demographic situation and informing future interventions in the health sector and beyond. Statistics Sierra Leone also acknowledged the continued support of its development partners in implementing the survey, stressing that the findings will serve as an essential resource for policymakers, researchers, development agencies, and other stakeholders working to improve the well-being of Sierra Leoneans. Reporting for SLBC, Nyalima Mosie.
Now, the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources has concluded its fish distribution exercise, delivering fresh fish donated by Ocean Fresh to schools, hospitals, and vulnerable groups. Stella Bangura went along a national report.
A warm meal can be the first step towards healing. For hundreds of patients, children and vulnerable people across Freetown, that meal has become more nutritious following the Ministry of Fisheries and Marine Resources completion of a fish distribution exercise. The initiative, supported by Ocean Fresh Fishing Company, forms part of its corporate social responsibility and aligns with President Julius Maada Bio's Feed Salon and Human Capital Development agenda. For many patients recovering in hospital beds, every meal counts. Fish, rich in protein and essential nutrients, is now expected to improve the quality of meals served at several health facilities and care centers. Minister of Fisheries and Marine Resources, Princess Duba, said the donation demonstrates government's commitment towards improving the welfare of Sierra Leoneans.
Our president is not talking. We talk about the human capital development, not to book learning no more. You know, say if you go self school, you know get something like you know they able to concentrate. So it thought and fit say they will also able to give people them food, but let them go able to develop their brain. And one of the good food the way they develop the brain are fish.
The final phase of the exercise took the ministry to Okupa Hospital, the Relocated Persons with Disabilities Center at Bremer Lane, Don Bosco Fambul, the 34 Military Hospital, and the King Haman Maternal and Child Health Hospital. Director of Fisheries, Sheikh Hussein, said that the exercise spearheaded by the minister will be taken to the provinces as the focus is to ensure that the needs of citizens are met.
We are going to extend it to the provinces. In fact, we are targeting boarding home schools. In Freetown, we'll be supporting the schools that have boarding homes. For example, Girls High School, FSSG, will have been there now, but they are on holidays. We're going to also go to the provinces to support hospitals and schools, and also vulnerable groups.
Beneficiaries also welcomed the gesture, describing it as timely and a clear demonstration that government initiatives are reaching those who need them most.
We appreciate the fish so much because when you see their fish misses, stronger.
Management of the beneficiary institutions commended President Bio's vision under the Human Capital Development and Feed Salon initiatives, saying the support will go a long way in augmenting the nutritional needs of patients, children, and vulnerable persons in their care. As the exercise ends, the smile on the faces of beneficiaries was a reminder that beyond policies and programs, the greatest impact is shown in action. Reporting for SLBC, Stella Bangura.
Now, partners supporting the government flagship Feed Salon program have officially launched the 2026-7 edition. The program has already secured 20,000 bags of locally produced rice and is expected to provide daily meals for more than 250,000 school children across 5 districts. Development partners also renewed their commitment to strengthen farmers' capacity, improving livelihoods, and building a more resilient agricultural sector in Sierra Leone. Cynthia Kama witnessed the opening day at WF Fish stores at Kisi Dockyard in Freetown.
With a target of 250 kilograms, 1,000 kilograms has already been secured by the Ministry of Agriculture and its dedicated partners, which accumulated to approximately 20,000 bags of rice. The opening of the 2026-2027 homegrown school feeding year signifies the commitment of government and partners in not just providing food and nutrition for children, but sustaining children in school.
The other thing this program makes me very happy about always is I get a question. Where the rest? You speak nicely. Where is the rice? That's all we want to see. I have a very simple answer today. There's the rice. From Salon Farmer then to Salon School begin there. Across 5 districts, 250,000 children. That's the answer. That's very simple, I know, but people wonder. And we're doing more than that. But really, that's why we do this.
Minister of State Martin Tarawali expressed a sincere appreciation to WFP and other development partners for their unwavering support to Sierra Leone's efforts to ensure that every child has access to safe nutrition and locally produced meals at schools.
What makes this program even more impactful is its homegrown approach. By producing food from our local farms, we are creating a laudable cycle where agriculture, nutrition, education, and economic development reinforce one another. When local farmers produce quality rice, vegetables, fruits, and other nutritious foods for our schools, they gain reliable markets and improved income.
Learning, according to the Minister of Basic and Senior Secondary Education, requires more than willingness. It requires nutrition and dignity. Each of the bags, he said, represent a farmer who made the choice to plant, harvest, and feed the nation's children.
A child goes from worrying about hunger to focusing on learning. A farmer goes from uncertainty to purpose. A community goes from fragmentation to connection. As we say, what you give a child gives the world. We are not just feeding pupils today. We are building the doctors, the teachers, the leaders, and the innovators that Sierra Leone will need tomorrow.
Lead farmer from Cambia District, Aissata Kaikai Sise, encouraged farmers to be resilient like never before. She called on women to embark on agriculture to improve the economy of Sierra Leone. However, the cooperation of agriculture and education is essential to the success of the program. For SLBC News, Cynthia Kama reporting.
The Minister of Communications, Technology and Innovation, Salima Ba, has called on telecommunications operators to improve on the services and ensure that citizens enjoy the value for their money. Salima Ba made the call during the National Telecommunications Authority 20th anniversary in Freetown. Omia Sulaiman Babaturi sent in this report.
Sierra Leone's journey to a sustainable and effective telecommunications service has been a struggling one over the years. But through the encouragement of innovation and the introduction of new players and services, according to speakers, more options became available to consumers, strengthening access to communication services nationwide. This progress, they said, has helped improve how citizens connect, do business, and engage with services that depend on reliable telecommunications. The 20th anniversary of Sierra Leone's National Communications Authority, NATCA, was celebrated, highlighting its role in fostering investment, competition, consumer protection, and digital transformation, thereby connecting people, empowering businesses, and contributing to the country's socio-economic development. Speaking on the challenges of balancing investment, government needs, needs and consumer demands, the Minister of Communications, Technology and Innovation, Salima Ba, called for improved connectivity and quality service in the years to come.
Currently, population coverage is at 90%, but usage is still at 42%. What does that mean? That means that even though network access has expanded to over 97 or 90% of the population, only 42% of the population are actually using the internet. And this is what we need to change over the next 20 years.
While commending the players involved for the authority's achievement over the years, NATCA's Director General, Amara Biwa, pledged to reinforce the belief that effective regulation and support for the sector are essential for sustainable progress in telecommunications. He highlighted their achievements over the years.
Today, the sector comprises 4 mobile networks operators, 1 mobile virtual operator, 32 internet service providers, 21 licensed television stations, 222 FM stations, 3 open access infrastructure operators. Cellular population coverage has reached 97.4%. Mobile voice subscriptions stand at 8.66 million, while mobile data subscriptions have reached 3.78 million.
The speakers from Africell, Orange, QCell and Seratel, among others, emphasized the importance of collaboration to match up to the world's advancing digital innovation, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, AI, and universal connectivity. They pledged to improving service delivery across the country. The theme for the celebration is 20 years of consumer-focused connectivity. SLBC News, Staman Babatue reporting.
From NATCA's 20th anniversary celebration, I take a pause on our news items and going for segments within the news, beginning with our business update.
Hello and welcome to the Business Updates, a segment that keeps you updated with the latest in business and its contributions on the economy. I am Alwyn Roy Fox, and coming up in today's edition, Ecobank and Africell has launched a smartphone asset financing scheme. And now, for many Sierra Leoneans, owning a smartphone is still a dream because of the high cost of buying one outright. Recognizing that challenge, Ecobank, in partnership with Africell, has launched a smartphone asset financing scheme that will allow eligible customers to acquire Samsung smartphones through flexible payment plans, bringing digital opportunities within reach of many people across the country. The initiative was launched at the Africell headquarters in Wilberforce, Freetown. Esther Susanette Bassi has the report.
The initiative is expected to open doors for students, traders, entrepreneurs, and working professionals who need reliable smartphones but cannot afford to pay the full price at once. AfriMoney Chief Executive Officer Mattison Obeng Eji said the scheme allowed eligible customers to acquire Samsung smartphones through manageable installment payments, easing the financial burden while giving more people access to digital technology.
And then the banks have their banking platforms, and then they have their apps, and they have mobile banking. In all of this, there's a single theme that runs through, and that's mobile. And the mobile is referring to the mobile phone. So without the mobile, there will not be mobile banking. Without the mobile, there will not be mobile money. Without the mobile, there will not be the mobile network. So we realized that to be able to make this accessible, people have to have affordable, reliable access to the most important device in Africa today, which is the mobile phone, if it's not in the world.
Ecobank's head of consumer and commercial banking, Kate Thompson, said the initiative reflects the bank's commitment to expanding financial inclusion across Sierra Leone. She noted that affordable smartphone ownership would enable more people to access digital banking services and mobile money.
It brings digital financial services closer to you. It makes it possible for you to have access to financial banking or financial products the comfort of your homes. You have it 24/7, and that is why we are doing what we're doing. And I would say that today, and especially at this time, considering the fact that we are in the rainy season, it is more than important for people to still be able to do their banking without necessarily having to walk to branches. And therefore, this partnership is timely. It's expected to help everyone to be able to do their banking and financial transactions or mobile money transactions, the comfort of their homes. Now, the other thing is the fact that where initially you would have to pay an upfront fee, we are saying that now you don't have to do that in terms of the fact that you can have the instant gratification and pay over a period of time. EcoBank, with this partnership, is able to offer you a maximum of 24 months to be able to pay for your phone.
Under the scheme, interested consumers can visit participating AfroCell outlets or EcoBank branches to apply for financing and choose from a selection of Samsung smartphones. For many Sierra Leoneans, owning a smartphone is no longer just about making calls or sending messages. It is about attending online classes, running a small business, accessing banking services, finding information, and staying connected with family and opportunities. Yet, thousands of people have remained out of reach due to high upfront cost of a quality smartphone. SLBC News, Esther Suzanette Bassi reporting.
And many thanks to Esther Suzanette Bassi for that report. Well, that's all we can share in today's edition of Business Updates. Have been your presenter, Alwyn Way folks. Stay tuned to the SLBC.
Many thanks to all you folks for bringing us the business update. We're from Business will bring news to a close. But before that, a recap of your headlines. Sierra Leone's 5% rise import duty has generated significant revenue, but only a small share has reached the Agricultural Development Fund, limiting support for women farmers. This was according to a recent report by the Budget Advocacy Network. In collaboration with the 50/50 group with support from Christian Aid, the Making Tax Work for Women report was to assess the impact of the Gender Sierra Leone's 5% rise import duty. The disappearance of coins from everyday transactions in Sierra Leone is raising deeper economic questions about the value of money over time. Once an important part of the country's currency system, coins today are rarely seen, rarely used, and often rejected. What was once a practical means of payment has become a symbol of inflation's impact on the economy. And finally, Sierra Leone Bar Association has appointed a caretaker committee to oversee the affairs of the association, safeguard its independence, and organize transparent and inclusive elections following weeks of internal uncertainties. The caretaker body comprised Usman I. Kamara as chairman, Indolo Devao, Melissa Sise, Joseph Kapua, and Lamin Bayo. And that's all we have time for in this edition of News, which came to you from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation Television on Channel 31. Many thanks for watching. Have a splendid day. Goodbye.